Now think about this. If you're getting into plumbing or you're already into it, plumbing apprentices can make mistakes that can really mess things up. Now, I've come up with a few here. Actually, I've come up with about 10 of them. But here's the deal. There's a lot of other mistakes apprentices can make. These are just the ones that I sat down and thought, okay, when I was an apprentice, what did I not know that might have helped me become a better plumber? Because at the end of the day, if you're getting into this trade, I really hope that you are trying to become the best apprentice that you can be. The reason being, that's going to help you become the best plumber that you can be. So as a plumbing apprentice, rule number one, always know how to turn the water off. And I know that sounds crazy, but as an apprentice, you're liable to put yourself in a situation where you make a mistake.
Wow, a mistake?
If you make a mistake that can cause a flood, either in someone's home or even on a commercial job, you should know how to turn the water off, always. The reason being, if you make a mistake and cause a flood, if you can shut the water off quickly, it may not be near as bad. But if you make a mistake that causes a flood, now you're having to look around and find out how to turn the water off. That could be a problem. Now, we actually made a video teaching people how to turn the water off at the meter and at the valve box in the house because some homeowners didn't even know. So think about this too. If you're the plumber in charge of an apprentice, have you shown that apprentice how to turn the water off or even where those valves are? Now, think about it. You may not need to turn the water off. You may be working on a drain pipe under a kitchen sink. But what if your wrench slips and you bust the angle stop and it floods? You may not need to know how to turn the water off, but know how anyway. Number two, don't use the wrong fittings. Now, using the wrong fittings as a journeyman is bad. As an apprentice, you should be asking someone what fittings to use. Do you know the difference in a combination or a sanitary tee? Which one can lay on its back? Which one can stand up? Using the right fittings in the right situation is what it's all about. When you use the wrong fittings, you can actually cause problems whether you realize it or not. So the things here are know what fittings to use in what situations and know what your fittings are. Do you know the difference between a 90, a quarter bend, a long sweep, a short sweep, a 16th bend, an 8th bend? Know what your fittings are and know where you can use them. Number three, and this is a big one, use the right tools. We've got a bag full of tools. Sometimes we get ourselves in a situation where we're either in a hurry or we just don't have the right thing with us. So it's like, you know what, I'm just going to use this. Well, the problem is if you use the wrong tool, you can mess something up, you can break something, you can cause problems that you may not be able to fix. If you use the wrong tool, you may put yourself in a situation where now you have to replace something. So now you've got to come back, you've got to do it again just because you didn't take a few minutes to go grab the right tool. And the thing is, if you don't have the right tool, get it. Write it down, make a list, say, hey, you know what? This is a tool that I need. So having the right tool is a big deal. If you don't have it, get it. And make sure you use the right tool the right way. Channel locks are made to go one direction. Some people know it, some people don't. Learn how to use your tools. And number four, while we're talking about tools, don't over tighten things. If you've got a drip or you've got a leak and you keep thinking, man, if I just get it a little bit tighter, I've cranked down on it and cranked down on it, be careful. Whether you're talking about like a nut under a sink or a water line, maybe even a valve. If you've got a valve that's not holding, don't think, just keep cranking and cranking. Maybe you open it back up and let it bleed through. Maybe you've got one that's seized up, you're trying to open up, loosen your packing nut a little bit. It's probably frozen up in there. There's a lot of different things that you can do, but don't think just brute force is going to help solve your problem. It may break something, and now it may make your job even worse. Number five is a big one. Measure twice, cut once. The reason being, a lot of apprentices, and I was so guilty of this, a lot of apprentices want to do good. So we want to hurry up and do something. And man, I'd hurry up, bust my tape measure out, measure something, mark it, boom, cut it. And the plumber would be like,
hey, it's an inch short.
Learn to measure twice and cut once. Learn to know what the number is. Meaning if he tells you to cut something, make sure you understand exactly what he wants. Then measure it, mark it, measure it again right before you cut it. measure twice, cut once. And along that line, make sure you understand how to read a tape measure. Understand each line, the 16ths, the eighths, the quarters, the halves. Know how to read a tape measure. That way you cut your piece exactly the length that it needs to be. Number 6, and this is a good one, Teflon tape goes one direction. I see a lot of old plumbers that still, they'll just wrap it on, they don't care. Teflon goes the direction that you are spinning your fitting. And if you put it on properly, it makes it look and work a whole lot better. Number 7, and this is a big one, learn to listen. Now, think about this. While we're in school, we're taught how to read, how to write, how to talk. We are never taught how to listen. So let me give you some advice here. Listen to repeat. Because if you will listen to repeat, you're not automatically thinking ahead of either what your response is or what you need to do. If your journeyman tells you,
hey, cut me a piece 21.5 inches,
you should be able to stop and look at him and say, okay, you want a piece of 2-inch cast iron, 21.5 inches. Because if you can listen to repeat, you can remember it. But think about this too, when you're learning the trade, when you're learning plumbing from him. This journeyman has got years of experience, years of knowledge. And if you ask, make sure you listen to repeat. Because if you listen to learn, you're going to become a better apprentice and a better journeyman so much faster. Also, if you're in a customer's house, think about it. They've called your company out to do a job. And if you listen to this customer, listen to repeat, you know exactly what problems they have. And a lot of times with the customer, I will repeat it.
okay, let me get this. This has been happening for 3 months. You've called 3 different plumbing companies out and they have not been able to get it. Do you know what they tried?
It may lead to more questions to help you discover what the real problem is. Now, the last 3, I think, are really going to help you. Number 8 is always be on time. Look, you want to show people that you are a good apprentice. And this is a mistake a lot of apprentices make. Come Wednesday, Thursday night, it's time to go out and have fun, maybe drink a little too much, hang out with the friends, stay out all night. Be at work on time. Show them that you're responsible as an adult. You understand you've got a job. You need to be there for it. This job is what's paying for you to be able to go out and party and have a good time. Being on time is how people are judged. Are they reliable? Can you count on this person? Our day starts with being on time for work. If you can do that and get good at it and do it every day, that is so beneficial. Number 9, protect your work area. Whether it's a commercial job or a customer's house, think about keeping your area clean. On a commercial job, you don't want pieces of all thread, pipe, anything around you or anybody else can slip and fall on. If you're at a customer's house, remember, you're in their castle. Their biggest financial investment ever for most people is their house. Make sure they see that you understand that and you're treating it the way it should be. Be very careful when you move around. You may end up breaking something that to you seems like no big deal. To them, it could be priceless. And number 10, this is the big one. If you really want to be a great apprentice, you really want to be a great plumber, never stop learning. Spend 30 minutes to an hour every day studying the trade. In the beginning, you may be studying code. You may be just studying plumbing. How do I become a plumber? Study every day. And if you will do this throughout your career, you will be one of the top plumbers in the nation. Most plumbers, once they get that professional license, they stop studying. They think, look, I've got it. I'm good. Everything is great. Things continuously change. There's new tools, new materials, new techniques all the time. What are you learning that can literally improve you as an apprentice or as a journeyman? Because I promise, you don't know everything, and you know what? You never will. I've been doing this 40 years. I don't know everything about plumbing, but I still study it. I still watch it and look at it and see what is going on that could benefit me or my company. If you're that kind of apprentice that you're like, look, I want to learn, I want to excel, and I want to get better, you've got a great opportunity ahead of you, and you can do really well. If you're a journeyman and you've watched all the way through here, do me a favor. Is there anything I missed? What mistakes are some of these apprentices making that really we ought to make them aware of? If you're an apprentice and you are making mistakes, think about them and tell me down below which ones are they. Because now I'm going to give you a tip. The biggest one, stay off your phone. I have hired apprentices that literally sit around on their phones all day long. You're getting paid to do a job, and it's not play Pokemon. Hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give us a thumbs up and a like. And if you hadn't done it yet, subscribe to the channel. I'm Roger Wakefield, Lead AP, the expert plumber. I'll see you in the next video if you don't get flushed.